Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Technical Tuesday. I'm Ben,
I'm Tim.
and we'll be jumping right into questions because there's a ton of them. But before we begin, Tim, do you have any questions, quibbles, thoughts, any fashion statement tips for the audience this morning as we begin?
Oh, my biggest thing is, I would say square body or round body when it comes to Chevy trucks. I mean, is an OBS really a square body truck? Can we even call it that? I mean, I feel like I'm about to start an argument here on the internet
You probably are.
because I've got square bodies and I've got OBS trucks, and they're all wonderfully in great shape.
I don't know.
But I did take time last night to do a little selfie cam action, a little screen record action on some tuning stuff. So hopefully you guys get that edited up.
Yeah, so we can finally start putting
It's
out
not
the advanced tuning
perfect.
software videos again.
The goal for it is to get it out there to get people in the right direction. I made some changes. I showed the results. I talked about where you're going to see this, where you're going to do this. And it's up to you, the people, to really dial it in. I'm here to give guidance, not to solve every individual problem.
No, but it'll be good to finally get more advanced tuning software videos out. I know people have been asking. So
I got 2 hours making that thing last night for a
yeah.
15-minute tuning video.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
many
all right,
last
though.
week, but it is what it is. So, all right, we'll jump right into it. Question 1 comes from JC Meyer 5. He says, if I have an external CDI box, can I use it for rev limiters and launch control and still use ACES ECU for timing control? Will the ACES ECU accept that or have a heart attack?
A little bit of both. You
Interesting.
can use it in that configuration. I've seen people set limiters and still use it for timing control. But it does a little bit of funny stuff, but not really, nothing too crazy. Just, you have to mess with it a little bit, honestly. I usually, if I've got a box set up and I'm using it for rev limiters, launch control, I will make sure to handle all the timing through that control box and then send that tach signal out to the ECU to handle the fuel side, everything. So even though I have to tune 2 different systems, I usually get better results doing that without having to overly complicate a fairly simple process.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could you just run everything through the CDI box and just not run timing control through?
That's what I was
ECU?
getting at. I love a good CDI box. I love setting one up. It's one of my favorite things. I hope that with the filming schedule, I get the chance to do my excessively deep dive into CDI timing control, setting up all the individual parameters. I know I did one personally, but it just generated a lot more questions from ACES customers into my personal stuff, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, the best justice I can do is to answer those much larger, more complex questions here on the ACES platform and actually, make something solid, because I've got a nice CDI box set up. I might as well do it.
Yeah.
It's one of the earlier ones, though, but the high roller, we added some little bits and pieces into the high roller software. So if you got an old carburetor set up and you're running one of our high rollers, you can still get GPS speed on the handheld now. That's been added in.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah.
Who knows, cuz?
That is a great name.
When I read that, I feel...
Who knows, cuz?
I feel mellow.
It's great.
Can I use a low-car tap shifter with the Jackpot? It doesn't have that tap-up, tap-down function like you think. Now, I know that our standalone trans controller does. I haven't messed with the low-car one. I'm trying to think of the brand that I use, but you can configure it in 12-volt trigger, I think 5-volt or ground trigger. I just can't remember the brand. You'll see it eventually. I'm actually going to purchase one for a project that I'm doing for next year's racing season. That's super top secret, but a whole lot of fun. It's it'll be on the internet. You guys will see it. I can't keep secrets, but yeah, throw me a part number out on that and the exact one you want to do. I'd like to look into it myself because, if it's something we can kind of try to incorporate or figure out a new strategy to help add these things into systems like the Jackpot or what have you not, or at least get you guys a good strategy on like this is how you'd wire it. I'd love to build a document on that because this is probably the third or fourth time somebody's asked me about paddle shifters or tap shifters.
Yep.
Even like ignition cut delays for shifters as well.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know if we've even tried anything with that yet.
I haven't got the chance to in-house yet. I've worked on a few outside of work projects that has had that, but that was on a standalone trans control. Really, it was a big nitrous carbureted setup with a 4L80 using tap shifter or paddle shifter setup, and it worked very well. But it's nothing that honestly that I could have filmed and used for work or even personal stuff because it is somebody else's content, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Dano74Z, are there plans in the works to upgrade the Royal Flush EFI CDI using the Killshot 2 throttle body?
I haven't thought about it yet. No, you'll probably see that in the future because the Killshot 1 stuff will do certain things and the Killshot 2 stuff will do other things. But I think in our big what to do upgrade project as we continue the generations of these different systems, improve ECUs and spark control and a lot of other things, you'll probably see that Killshot 2 throttle body incorporated into systems like Royal Flush and even like Jackpot TBI setups as well. The progressive linkage, a lot of people seem to like. Plenty of people still like the Killshot 1. A lot of people love the Killshot 2. Honestly, I run a Killshot 1. I have a Killshot 2, but there's more people out there with Killshot 1, so every time I'm trying to post something on my personal stuff or what have you not, or making a tuning video for work, I want to make sure to handle it on the Killshot 1. When I'm done with that, I'll go with the Killshot 2 and do the same stuff again and just show the differences because there is slight differences in the tuning, but it's yeah, I'm a big fan of the Killshot 2. I like this fit more air cleaners, honestly, but you know.
Yeah. I could totally see it happening. I don't know when or a timeline, but I could totally see it happening. So, yeah. JC Meyer 5 again says features I would like to see: boost timing retard on the Killshot 2, separate channel for oil pressure, which we talked about that last week. Tables with scaling that match and or apply from the learn function, and 4 multiple gauge layouts for people who want to use the handheld as primary gauges. Maybe when we do the next generation handhelds for 7-inch or larger. Please and thank you. They're all good points.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. I do want to see a oil pressure, a separate sensor input for the oil pressure. I think that's going to have to come with a larger processor at some point because we've maxed out how many pins we're using on a lot of our systems right now. So we had to put a bigger, spicier unit in there. The scaling for the fuel tables and learn functions, that's one of the things that's going to push us into the faster processor quicker, because it does take more processing power, more RAM as well to make those fuel table and learn table matches. You'll probably see that incorporated in stuff like the Killshot and the Jackpot sooner than later.
Yep.
But that's been a lot of conversation about what people want, so we've been doing that.
Yep.
Let's see what we got here. Mark Carr.
331.
Sucks to see apparent Aces expert chatting on YouTube. Was that me or you? And not in forums where questions can be asked. I'm hands down, flat out disappointed in my Aces system and support.
Well,
hate to hear that for you, Mark.
Yes.
But we do chat on the forums, so
we do
our
that as well.
technical support, even members of my R&D team, we are on Facebook and we do answer questions.
Yep.
Sometimes it doesn't say Aces EFI
Sometimes,
on there, but we all read that stuff, we all do that stuff. So we're here on YouTube to help get information out where nobody else is doing that.
Yeah.
And we are on the Facebook. We don't have like an official forum yet, but I think we're building one into our website, which will be good fun. That we can search old subject matters and whatnot. Now, as for disappointed with the ACES system and support, I'd like to know a little bit more about the what's up on that.
Yeah.
A lot of times with the ACES system itself, it really comes down to a lot of install stuff. I mean, I track that information on a regular basis, and I see about 98.5-ish% on my numbers of what people come in for tech calls and RMAs. It generally comes down to configuration and install a lot of times.
Yeah. How rowdy it is. I mean,
sometimes we got a bad
stuff.
sensor. Sometimes, we'll update a screen and an ECU and send it out, and something happens in shipping and that screen's smoked when it gets there, something funny. Or they put the project together and put a wire in the wrong spot.
Yep.
That happens extremely frequently. They just, kind of breeze through the thing. But, Mark, if there's something we can help you with, let us know.
Absolutely. And we're trying our best to cover all of our channels. We do have a ton. Somebody's usually, even right now, probably somebody from our headquarters is answering questions on social media somewhere. But we will eventually have our own forum. We have the Aces Owners and Tech group on Facebook.
That's okay, but it's Facebook. It's just it's not really people putting constructive stuff in there. You get some of those, like some of our authorized tuners. Mm-hmm. They're in there doing good work, but there's a lot of people that just get in there and says, this system's trash. Don't ever buy it, but they don't even own it. Or they just had a horrifying install go on.
Yeah, but it's okay.
But I do get a kick out of it. Sometimes people will be talking like mad trash, and then like they'll show a picture of their build, and you're like, good Lord, man.
Been there, done that.
Spaghetti belongs in a pot, not on your hood.
Yeah,
that happens. I mean, but we're here to help everybody out, the good and the bad. We're not going to shy away from all that business. Just what I'm saying, keep it a little PC as it goes. I mean, friendly. You can say negative
nice
stuff,
reference there.
But it's one of those things like we take the criticism, we don't mind, but it helps us improve. If you got a valid point and you want to argue it, great.
Yep,
I'm
true.
all about it. We're constantly making improvements.
We've read many a bad comment on Tech Tuesday before.
Yeah, there's the one with a lot of profanities. We kind of got to block those. So if you want to
that's not bad.
If you still want to get your thing out there because you're having a problem, I mean, just keep the profanities out, and it'll probably
be like Mark.
Posted. Yeah, he had a valid point. Doesn't like it, and he posted about it. And good job, Mark. Yeah,
All right. Trent Dog 2832 is the distributor gear on the small block 4 289-302 distributor and AD 2012 a iron gear or steel. I cannot find an answer anywhere.
I thought we added it to this. It's a
melanized gear.
It's a melanized steel gear or what have you not.
Yep.
Iron is okay, but I think they went with a steel on that. Mm-hmm. It's like a surface hardening.
Yep.
It drills differently. You'll smoke a drill bit trying to drill that thing. It's weird, but anywho.
Yeah.
Also, if you got like I can't remember what part number it is on the MSD brand stuff, but like there's like brass gears. I think we offer brass gears now too. They're in the warehouse. I just don't think they put them on a website.
Not yet. That's very new.
Yeah, that's a lot of people ask for a brass gear because they got a billet cam, and honestly, we kind of got tired of sending them to the competition to get a gear, so we're like, okay, let's just get them.
Yep.
So I think they're here. That was only a few months ago, so that worked out pretty good.
I'll read the long one.
Sure.
Rickster. It's good to see you again. It's been a while. It has. But I have another question for you. Are the values in the Learn table a percentage of what the VE should be adjusting by, or are they the full amount they should be adjusted by? For example, if the Learn table has -2 in the given cell, would you adjust the cell in the VE by -2, or would you subtract 2 from the value of the VE? By the way, still holding my breath for the downdraft system and standing by to be your first guinea pig. The wild card is running great now, but the AC Cobra needs some stacks.
What was that? What was that dealer? Was that McGee Racing?
McGee Racing, yeah.
McGee Racing does a stack setup, I think. And they use our stuff, I believe.
They told us that, I know we've said this a million times, but they called us and asked us for like some advice, and we're like, oh, it doesn't work, and they're like, no, it works. It's working right now, actually. So yeah, they definitely have.
Oh, it can work. It's just you gotta know a few things.
You have to know a thing or two.
So in that, say for instance, you have a target value of 13.8, and your O2 sensor's seeing this.
Yep.
The difference in that, right? It'll look at it and be like, okay, it needs to be adjusted by 14% or whatever it is. Whatever that disparity is, that value is added 15% of the given value every 0.4 of a second and slowly add it into the learn table. Now, you can increase those rates, of course, or the percentages. But basically, by the time it learns everything and gets the fuel back to what that target is, what's left over in the learning table, be it, 14%, positive or negative or what have you not, that is going to be the difference. It's going to be 14% difference, the full amount. So if you go back to your VE table and you adjust that area by 10%, clear the learning table and let it relearn, you'll see that it's not going to be 14% no more. It's going to be like 4 or 5 or so, something like that. Don't try to be perfect. You can get it within a few percent, but you're chasing a dragon at that point. It's tuning by means of diminishing returns. You'll make a small adjustment, and then it'll have the opposite effect. And then you'll make a small adjustment to correct that, and it'll have the opposite effect. And that's where you get on that line. So, yeah, what you see in the learning table, if it's 14, it's 14. If it's -2, then it's bringing out 2% of fuel in that particular area.
And hopefully when we make more of these videos, that we'll be able to showcase some of that stuff as well. But, yeah, we'll see.
Right. Let's see, AntMan 993, is the learn table modifying the VE table in real time, or is it just a display of correction? That learn table, just like in a factory vehicle, short-term fuel trims is what the O2 sensor sees right now and what it's correcting for. Long-term fuel trims is like our learning, so it's taking those values and slowly adjusting the fuel to meet the target value. That way, it's not doing too much short-term correction, and it's not doing too much long-term correction. It's balanced out very, very well. So think of your learning table like a pair of corrective glasses, like I didn't bring with me today to read this stuff. So it's kind of looking at it like a modifier value. It says VE augmented by X amount of percent, and that's what your fuel is. It looks at it very much live. Delay on that is extremely insignificant of how it corrects us. I've got a great learning table in my Tahoe right now, and it runs like a champion, and it's like a 15% difference in different areas of the table, but it's already, the correction factor is so good you can't really tell. If I go in there and modify my table and clear the learn and let it relearn, it's going to be even less percentage, but at the end it's still going to run the same even with a perfectly modified VE table. I don't like my learn table to do too much work, but over anything less than like 5%, I'll just let it keep it instead of going there and tweaking the table. It's not me being lazy. It's just that I could just end up chasing diminishing returns because of altitude, temperature, fuel temperature, fuel density, specific gravity, and a bunch of other interesting things. Or even like cylinder temperature. My truck may run hotter today and affect everything. My air intake temperature may be hotter today, and I may have too much timing at that point, and it'll be different. And just those little things, those environmental factors.
Yeah. Very good. Next question is Gear Banging Entertainment 7476. Can we get a graphic, visual, or document with all the thread sizes for all the intake manifolds? I recently bought a kit with the nicer tunnel ram intake, but it came with a 3/8 CTS, and the threads are 1/2 for it. It would be nice to have a resource like that in case someone wants to expand their systems and add more inputs.
I think that's in our drawings, I believe. The marketing guys.
I could definitely look into that.
E-commerce guys, actually. E-commerce guy.
Josh.
Yeah, Josh. Jeesh. It's Jeesh.
Yes, Jeesh.
Anyways, yeah, I think in our actual manual drawings there should be the actual location, nominal, whole thread, this, that, and the other. So I think it's listed in there. If not, that'll be a good document to build up. We just have to go check into that a little bit, make sure it's in there. Because I remember seeing, an actual listing on a few intake drawings that actually had what was threaded where.
We could probably make it clear and just put it on each landing page or for each intake that we sell. Because we just started doing that, making individual pages for intakes. So,
yeah,
I mean, we could throw that on there. It's a good suggestion.
In the future, for like on our site, you're going to see like the user manual for something. which on intakes it may have just like basic torque specs or dimensions. And then there's going to be the technical bits, which is going to actually be a more in-depth drawing or electrical schematic or something like that, or a tuning guide.
Yeah. It's true. After you. Sorry, I keep jumping ahead.
Shift 6652. You kind of skipped the question about VE table resolution. It appears that way. What does that mean?
I don't remember.
Is this on a previous thing?
Probably.
But nevertheless, VE table resolution is kind of locked by how much processor power we got. We got a very fast processor, but we're using it for other stuff to make the rest of the system work really, really good. You'll see that resolution come up if that's what the question was. Interesting. Didn't mean to skip anything.
No, well, we can go back at the end if we have time and look at it. If not, I can.
I think we'd have to watch the video or look at the last video and read the question,
Yeah.
I think. CO2 Boost Control. Interesting. Thomas.
Thomas Shardy.
Is that what that says?
407.
CO2 Boost Control. Interesting. So you're talking about dome pressure control. That requires a couple pulse width modulated outputs and a sensor input for sure. Interesting. Yeah, we're gonna be doing that in the future for the Jackpot at least.
Yep.
For other stuff, we'll probably use like a single pulse width modulated output for like a 3-port Mac valve.
Yep. I didn't even know that. The fact that you told me that is really exciting.
Yeah, that's some nerd stuff. JC Meyer 5, straw hats for the guys who spend all day at the track and want to keep the sun off their bald heads and red necks. I feel you. You know, I realized I got to a certain age. I was out at a show recently, and the top of my head was a little crispy. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I'm slowly losing all my hair. That's okay. I feel you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the straw hats. I'll actually pay money for that.
Very soon. I can't say how soon, but very soon.
JC Meyer 5, Tim, you look tired.
Come on, Tim.
We
do shoot these in the mornings typically, so sometimes we haven't even had coffee yet, but
a Gen 3 7-inch display, maybe 1440p. Yeah, I think so. I think we are going to go HD with our larger display and look into a bunch of other options as well. Displays. But yeah, we're looking at bigger displays. Those are it's quite an undertaking because of the fact we only have 2 graphic user interface engineers, and that's their thing. So, and yeah,
but the things I've seen are really cool.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to the next generation of handhelds because that's going to help people. Because we're going to have enough products between the different generations of Killshots and different applications of Killshots and all the different handhelds. It's going to be price appropriate no matter your budget. Because if somebody don't want to buy a 3rd generation 7-inch super HD handheld with all these extra functions, but they got enough money for an OG 5-inch handheld and they still get the functionality of their system, we're trying to make it price appropriate for everybody's budget and build.
Yep. That's a very big thing for us.
Yeah. It's just, it comes in like me, like I've got money, but I'm cheap. So like I'll build a car, but then I'm like, I don't need a 12.3
but
inch
also,
display.
It's just expensive, period.
They are expensive to make.
I'm trying to make them not expensive is the goal.
That's a lot of coordination of working with manufacturing and supply to get the deal on a product like chipset, screens, and everything else that meets our criteria. We can go cheap with it and then charge a bunch for it. We're not going to do that. We're going to go quality so it reduces any kind of returns and failures and negative feedback on the internet and all that stuff. So we're going to offer something very, very good with the correct components that's built for the distance.
Yep. Warrior Zeke. It's cool. I once read that the Holley Terminator X had an anti-theft feature where you had to push a series of buttons to allow the engine to start. I Google searched this and found out this is incorrect. Did you ever consider adding a feature like this in the Aces ECUs? Thank you. Yeah, actually, through Tech Tuesday.
Recent conversation, actually.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I want to see it. I want to see at least like
R.I.P. Blazer.
Yeah, we actually it's great though because like we actually got our Blazer stolen out of the parking lot.
You probably saw that. All these people probably have seen that. But
yeah,
it's unfortunate. So we're really looking into that, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's One of the big things that people end up with their cars missing or system missing or what have you not is unfortunately on Power Tour. I've had
Really?
quite a few friends over the years that they park at the hotel overnight and they come out in their Dominator, which is an expensive piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Their handheld and their Dominator will be gone. Or somebody actually steal a whole motor or an entire car. It's an unfortunate thing. So every year there's always a small amount of theft of people.
How do you steal a motor?
With wrenches.
Well, yeah, but overnight and nobody's just, oh, yeah, they're just taking a motor out of a car.
Dude, I could drop a small block out of an F-body Camaro in about 30 minutes, and it'd be in the back of my truck. I pulled the engine out of my Colorado in about 15 minutes the other day.
That's crazy.
And then I overhauled it, and then I put it back in. It took me and Clint about 10 minutes to actually get the engine bolted up to the transmission, sitting on the engine mounts.
That's crazy.
And then I spent
I didn't even know
2
that.
days doing wiring because the wiring harness is a mess.
Okay, well, you learn something new every day. I seem to learn one or two things every single time we do a Tech Tuesday.
Yeah, right on. Next.
All right. Robert Ear. Sure. I need a big block Buick Blackjack Pro Mag pickup distributor. Fair enough. Buick guys.
Have one of those?
I'm not well, we might now, actually. We might have that now. I don't know if it's out yet.
If we have it, we'll have Reed post a little link to that somewhere in this video.
A big block black.
Might have been an Oldsmobile. I think I did an Oldsmobile distributor the other day for some big nasty Oldsmobile application. I thought it was a Buick too. There was BOP stuff is weird.
I don't know if that's out yet, but we'll
have Reed look into it.
Also, it might be a Hall effect distributor. I don't know if it's a magnetic pickup distributor.
Yeah.
What's the max amps for the PDM? Looking at the actually no, I think we do have that. Anyway, looking at the fuses, 103 amps plus internal things, so 105 amps. Would running a fuse after the battery to the PDM be a good idea?
Nah, no real need to on that because it has internal. It has they're plugged into it. Her internal external fuses.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the biggest fuse we got on that PDM is a 30 because it handles only a few things. It's you're not going to have like 100 amps or an 80 amp situation.
Yep.
So that's meant to be kind of like a cleaner version of using fuses and relays for the wiring harness, not to do a whole lot of really really heavy lifting.
Yep.
It'll take a lot of abuse, but we've let the magic smoke out of a few by really doing some wrong stuff on purpose.
We ran out of recording on the other one, but I think we said everything for the PDM, right? As far as
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
great. Still hoping for the CAN bus gateway module.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
I don't know anything.
Gateway module is how one CAN talks to another CAN.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's if they decide to do that, it would be. We could just make a module for that and do it, but it depends on whether the higher engineering wants to do that. I think we should.
Yep. Boris Volanti, installing my Killshot as we speak. I got the system turned on and everything booted up. Haven't started it yet. I'm double checking everything, but is there anything I should watch out for?
No, not really. I mean, if you got a solid install going on, make sure it's hooked directly to battery, clean 12-volt source, all that good stuff. Make sure your timing is good. If you're using HEI, you can set it to whatever your normal timing would be.
Yep.
And if you're using a Hall effect or a magnetic or what have you not, you're using timing control, make sure you drop it in for 15 degrees before top dead center. Use a little bit of engine math, if you decide to do that. That way you can just be within a few degrees of the actual timing mark itself. When you restart it up, you have the best chance, and adjust with your timing light from there. Make sure to lock it out in your handheld, and then adjust and then lock down your distributor, and then unlock it. That way, if 15 degrees is 15, then whenever you're shooting for 32 or 36, it truly is that value. Mechanical, digital correlation stuff.
Voltage, fuel pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, basically the basic check lights.
You'll need some fuel pressure. Make sure to verify your fuel pressure.
And that'll be it. And run through the start wizard.
Yeah, you got to run the start wizard.
Do that. All right. JD Welsh has a couple of questions here, actually.
It's Jay Welsh.
Jay Welsh.
Yeah.
Have a high roller ignition box on the Killshot. When I hooked up my handheld from the Killshot, timing was set 0, so I set it to 15, then hooked it to the Killshot for timing control. Set the distributor at 15, lock on the handheld, and then set the distributor. Is this the right way, or am I overthinking it?
I can't picture exactly what that looks like. High roller ignition on a Killshot when I hooked up the handheld, so on and so forth.
Is the handheld...
No, what about the handheld?
But which one is he using?
If
you should have two.
So if you were using a magnetic distributor to the Killshot and then using a white point wire to trigger the ignition box and it's hooked to the coil, you're still going to hook it up just like every other Killshot. So mechanically lock out the distributor, install it at 15 degrees before top dead center, correlate the digital and mechanical values with it forced into locked on the handheld, going by the static timing value of 15. After that, you can tighten up your distributor, unlock it in the handheld, and it'll be doing fine because all it's doing with the white points wire is dumb firing the ignition box. It does a ground trigger and makes spark.
Yep.
Whenever it tells it to.
The Killshot handheld, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Added a LS style filter regulator to my in-tank pump, and the pressure is 70 psi. Is that okay if I change it in the handheld to 70, or should it regulate to 58 psi?
Make sure. So mine does that sometimes too. I run a Camaro style, so I have a different fitting on the end. Mine will be 60 after it's nice and warm, but when I initially start it up, it's like nearly 70. I got mine set for 58 in the handheld because after it runs for a little bit, it actually does get to that value. But if it's running a constant 70, just go in your handheld and adjust it to 70. That way it knows how much pressure it has for that injector and can scale everything on the back end appropriately. You get much higher than that, you're going to run into a really inconsistent idle, and the fuel injector kind of goes fire hose mode whenever it runs out of duty cycle at the top end. If you're really giving it the beans and you get into the high map, high revs, it'll actually kind of break up a little bit because it's just over-fueling itself to death. We experienced that on a vehicle that was running 90 pounds with a bad filter regulator. And people say those things fail all the time. You know, I've only seen like 2 in the last 5 years that's actually not even fully failed, just had higher than desired pressure because they're made to a certain standard, but they're not all perfect. I usually see the higher pressure ones kind of off the cheaper market, to be honest. But you can get a fairly good name brand one, Camaro or Corvette one. Yeah. And they do a pretty good job. But yeah, you're going to see some inconsistencies. The Blazer we had, that thing ran at 65 PSI on a Corvette regulator, and it performed like a champion.
Yep. I would say, though, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if it's possible to regulate it down, I would regulate it down just based on, because it is the Killshot,
well,
correct?
He just has to change his filter regulator.
Oh, okay.
Switch it out to a different one. Normally, if I get those things off Amazon, I get a 2-pack because sometimes one is either under or way over pressure, and then I switch it out, and normally 1 out of 2 is pretty good. But yeah, you get them cheap.
Yep.
Cheap.
Yep. Great. Sent truck to tuner and was not able to tune. Cost me $60 or $600. My AFR is at 14, but plugs are black. What in the world?
Went to a tuner, cost me $600. AFR is dead at 14 because his O2 sensor is failed at this point. Super rich. Plugs are black as hell. Leans out more than Killshot. It dies and runs bad. It's not really leaning out. It's a false lean. What it's doing is the O2 sensor is taking a dive because of too much fueling. It's crazy that your tuner would charge you $600. I wonder who you used. Was not able to tune it. Now on our website we have a list of authorized tuners. Those guys do a lot of remote tunes and do amazing work.
Yep.
I mean, I'm constantly seeing nothing but positive feedback on these guys. But yeah, that's what you got going on. Double check your fuel pressure, like I seen in your previous one about the 70 psi, but that's not the hugest factor in the world. Get another O2 sensor, 17025 Bosch part number if you're going to go to O'Reilly's and get one, or you just order one from us. And then clear your learning data. I would just reflash it. I would run the ECU update and run the wizard again, turn the O2 sensor off, and then see where it's at. See where you're at with it, because that it just sounds like it got adjusted way out of parameters and smoked the O2 sensor, which made it even worse because it's going to try to add 70% more fuel to it when those things fail if you don't adjust any kind of limiters on the learn and loop.
Yeah.
Which I did, actually. I kind of put that in my tune-in video a little bit, that the media guys should be getting done with at some point. Hashtag read Ben.
Small block Chevy, high compression, 12.1, 4,000 RPM, dead. Little old. Ordered the ignition box, high roller Killshot with your magnetic distributor. RPM solved, but RPM signal funky at idle. Think plug wires arcing. So I'm looking for a female cap for a distributor so I can run my race wires.
Oh, make sure those are not solid core race wires. Solid core, it makes an incredible amount of noise. I haven't tested out with our system yet because I usually use suppressed stuff or spiral core. But yeah.
Yeah,
I can't. There is a female cap out there that fits our distributor. I don't remember who makes it though. But that's an old bit of information from a couple years ago. I'd have to try to dig up and see if I can find out what that part number was. I think it might have been an MSD, because there's only so many places that make distributors.
Yep.
Like, when you're looking for a quality distributor that's good, like there's only a handful of people in the world that will actually make you one. There's a lot of them that'll make them for extremely cost effective, but we don't want to deal with the rate of returns on that.
Yep. I completely agree with Tim. I would completely restart from scratch, reflash everything, get a new O2 sensor, make sure that you're hooking it up to run the Killshot with time and control and not trying to have the high roller or the Killshot fight each other in some way, just with the way you have it hooked up. Yeah. Definitely agree with Tim on the race wires, and $600 is not anything close to, authorized tuners are 400, 500 on the high
neck
end.
of the woods. But I would call Bryant. I would call Justin Richardson, one of those two guys, even on the remote side.
Yep.
Because they're extremely familiar with the system, and these guys are. So authorized tuner group isn't just like people that we say, hey, you can just tune with us. We actually work with these guys in a way.
They're vetted.
They're vetted and all that stuff.
Always,
and they have to go through my little mini course of, do you know how to tune? Show me. But also, I have these guys, they test stuff for me sometimes too. Yeah. They're trusted enough that
they usually comment in these groups.
Yeah, they normally do. But I will send them stuff. Like Bryant right now, he has my big block Mopar Joker setup, which, he has like the intake for that, which is interesting. All
right, we are out of time, but I want to get two more.
Two more.
Will you all be at HRPT? If so, bring merchandise. So
probably not.
We were planning on going. We may go for like a day or something like that.
We might just go to one of the stops and try to set up a booth.
Yeah. But just being able to go to the whole thing with our staffing is it's gonna be too long. But we do want to go to it. So it hasn't been finalized, but we'll probably go to maybe a stop, maybe two. We'll see.
I want to go next year. I want to take my van.
But that would be your thing. That's not Ace's thing. Yeah, well, I don't want to get into that too because you're going to be doing some cool YouTube stuff with that.
No, it could be an Ace's thing. It totally could be. It's just I've got that 73 van that's going to be multi-port by next year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. If it's all safe
It'll
and
be
good
cool.
and all that stuff, I think we got a pallet full of tents and merchandise and hit the road and go have a good time.
Yeah. AntMan 993, can we get a video of the knock sensors turned on and working?
Yeah, we could probably do something like that.
Yeah.
We're looking for a new LS swap vehicle, and at that point, that's when we'll be messing with. I want to knock sensor parameters. I want to go through each one of the subsystems and add just a specialized video just for these certain things, and that's one of them. That is on the list of direct videos of all the different individual systems.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to get another LS swap vehicle here. I don't know if we're going to build one or buy one. Haven't figured it out yet, but we're looking for one. We need 4L60 transmission.
Have
5.3.
things changed since the last time I looked into knock sensors with our systems? Like, do people typically run those? I didn't think that was a normal
Jackpot
thing.
Stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not TBI though.
Yeah, they don't have knock sensors.
Correct.
I use standalone,
Okay.
like a full plex or something. I don't know.
Okay. I'm getting them all confused in my head at this point.
I made a knock sensor.
That's a story for another time. Okay. That is all 31 questions, I do believe. If we missed one, it's not on here. But, yeah, I think that's it.
If we
Sweet.
missed one, it's probably because of the slight technical difficulties we had in the middle of this.
Yeah. Don't even worry about that. It's okay. Awesome. Sweet. Thank you guys for powering through with us. Tim, thank you for coming down to the studio and shooting another episode of Tech Tuesday. Guys, if you liked it, feel free to leave a like down below. If you have any comment about ACES fuel injection or EFI in general, please feel free to leave a comment, and we'll get to it in our next Tech Tuesday video. Maybe it'll be live. I don't know. Haven't talked to Tim yet. And then...
I'm up for anything live. You want to do a Tech Tuesday? You want to do anything live? Turn the camera on.
Tim does love live.
Just whatever. I'm not.
Love live. Love.
Yeah.
Not that.
I
but
live live.
Yeah, we're good with that. And then, if you guys know anybody that would be interested in switching to fuel injection, you can send them our way. But yeah, like always, until next time, we'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.
Bye now.